are black people allowed to come and live here?
Okay. Anybody who wants to live here or who wants to live in Orania goes through a process because there's a company and a management instrument in charge of the property. You apply. So the first step that you do is you actually take fingerprints. Why do we take fingerprints? Because we do not want criminals in Kleinfontein. So if your fingerprints are taken and you've been in jail 3 or 4 times for stealing, we'll probably right at the onset of the fingerprints say, sorry, you're not welcome here. Then the next step is you complete a questionnaire. And in that questionnaire, you have to explain why do you want to join an Afrikaner community. And a good answer will be, well, my father is Afrikaans, my mother is Afrikaans, or my children are Afrikaans. Afrikaans is my first language. I respect the 16th of December as Day of the Vow. My great-great-grandfather was in the Great Track. Those are all the correct answers. I am a Christian, I'm an Afrikaner. So then you complete your questionnaire. If you pass the questionnaire, then you go to a selection panel. Just prior to the selection panel, you're actually informed about everything in Kleinfontein. You are told this is one big piece of land. You do not get a title deed for your plot. It's communal land. It's like tribal land. You get a piece after you've paid for your shares and you can develop that piece. Do you understand it? Do you understand that we do our own water? Do you understand that we do our own electricity? Do you understand that the swimming pool only opens after 12 on a Sunday? So you go through about a 4 or 5 hour presentation. Thereafter, you go to a panel. So once you've passed everything, then the panel sits there and says, okay, what you did is on page 17, you scratched out the Christian faith. Do you think that makes you an Afrikaner? And in all likelihood, the panel will say, well, so what religion are you then? And if you answer, well, I'm a Buddhist, then the panel will tell you, then perhaps Kleinfontein is not the place for you because we're all Christians here. So your question, it was directly about race. My answer is directly about culture. So anybody of any color that fits the Afrikaner culture, that applies successfully, will be able to live here.
What happens when a community's right to cultural identity collides with the state's heavy hand? When the city councils and regulators turn their gaze towards places that built themselves from the ground up, such as Kleinfontein, Orania, the list goes on. Are we witnessing fair governance or something deeper, a quiet campaign against self-determination? I'm Kuhlekwethu Maseko, and today we dive into a story that's raising serious questions about power, culture, and the limits of local government authority. Let's break it down. So, many of you, for as long as you have not been living under a bridge, will know that there has been a face-off between the city of Tshwane and Kleinfontein. In the city of Tshwane, tensions have erupted between municipal authorities and the small Afrikaner enclave of.
We appreciate the conference. This is a debate, by the way. It's like the situation in Orania where they want their own town, and you have made it clear that you don't want to follow this constitution. You don't want to follow what this municipality does. You don't want to be led by this municipality. You want to be independent, right?
Yes.
Yes, you said so. So we will have to go and look into that because you want to be independent. You want your own special arrangement of your own people, because you must also not shy away that you want a white-owned place. No, it's what you want. No. It's what you want.
Kleinfontein, a private community near Reyton being a town that was incorporated into the city of Tshwane with Bronkhorstspruit and Cullinan. Those tend to be agricultural towns that have got high populations of Afrikaner people. On the surface, It's a planning dispute, but to many it feels like something more. A test of whether cultural autonomy still has a place in South Africa. So, according to reports, the city of Tshwane is preparing legal steps that could result in Kleinfontein's demolition or forced integration into surrounding areas. You'll remember that last month I covered the story in great depth, but we've actually managed to acquire more information about the story, and that was because there were rumors last month that City of Tshwane was going to send, quite literally, bulldozers to mow down Kleinfontein. But city officials claim the land is being used unlawfully. How so, you may ask? They say that it was developed without proper approval under the Township Ordinance of 1986. They insist it's a private development that falls outside the official township register. But here's the part that doesn't sit right. Kleinfontein has existed for decades. I mean, decades. Its residents pay rates, maintain their own infrastructure, and have repeatedly tried to regularize their status within the city. The interesting thing is the guys that pay rates are being targeted, and those that don't pay rates all over the country, well, like in Soweto, they just have their rates scrapped, and the same as Mamelodi. Meanwhile, over 700 other informal or private settlements exist in Tshwane, some with zero compliance, yet only Kleinfontein, a historically Afrikaner settlement that was there before the integration into the city of Tshwane. It was separate, it was not even part of Tshwane in the beginning, and now has been publicly threatened with demolition.
Orania is often called our sister town. We are called Orania Light at times, jokingly. We originate from exactly the same date in history, around about the 1990s. I think the differences between Orania and Kleinfontein is Orania bought a complete town with all the infrastructure already installed. They had a sewage works, they had a town hall, they had a rugby field, they had several houses, they had roads. They started off far ahead of Kleinfontein, if you can put it that way. Kleinfontein, on the other hand, purchased a piece of farmland and started developing it with the community. So you would find a builder and you would find volunteers helping to erect the first house. Some of the water pipes laid in Kleinfontein to supply properties, they've been laid by the community. There would be a call on a Saturday to say, guys, we need a water pipe on the east end or the west end, and the community would come together and they would install this equipment.
The selective enforcement raises questions, and a lot of eyebrows are raising up. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's hold this for a second and let's think about this. Imagine you're never part of the city of Tshwane in the first place. You got, amalgamated later on, and now the city of Tshwane wants to do this to you. Legally, Tshwane argues that the land is zoned for agriculture, not residential use. Think about that. To become an official township, a developer must submit a full plan, which they did, by the way, environmental studies, which they did, and pay fees, which they did. But the residents counter that they've been unfairly treated. They say the city's demands are inconsistent, especially when compared to how informal townships and politically connected developments are being handled. As I mentioned before, you've just got to think about this logically. These are residents that pay their rates, residents that are self-reliant, they cut their own grass, they don't need Tshwane, but they say, no, it will pay for our rates. They've got boreholes, they've got jojo tanks. They are self-reliant. They've got solar power, but they still pay their rates, and Tshwane sees a reason to attack them. Some see this as a bureaucratic bias against Afrikaner communities, like myself, that are seeking self-sufficiency. Others view it as the city enforcing uniform land policy. But let's be honest, if they were really informing uniform land policy, well, the townships should still be facing the same brunt, but they aren't. Either way, the optics matter because Tshwane is an ANC-led municipality with the mayor, Dr. Nasipi Moya from Action SA. The narrative quickly gains racial undertones by saying Afrikaner rights groups are calling this an act of cultural discrimination, and I agree. It is actually racism by regulation. And I've put it that way from time and time again. Because why scrap the debt of those that don't pay and you don't punish them? And in fact, all the waste trucks and cherry pickers go there. But to those that pay, we will make them criminals. And they were never even part of our cities in the first place. At the same time, another Afrikaner town, Orania, found itself under scrutiny from ICASA. And that is South Africa's communications regulator. Reports circulated that Orania was illegally using Starlink, Elon Musk's satellite internet network, which isn't officially licensed in South Africa. The story exploded online. Headlines accused Orania of secretly connecting to the outer space. It's outer space. It's outer space. We love Elon Musk so much. We really love him so much. That is probably what the ANC was thinking, including their Turkers called ICASA. But here's the truth. No such system exists in Orania. ICASA confirmed they received complaints, but admitted there was no proof of Starlink hardware being used in Orania at all. Yet, the regulator still launched an investigation. And once again, it's the optics. They decided that, well, because it's these Afrikaners, let's give them a challenge. Let's go and investigate. Is this true? I mean, how the hell would Starlink get into, you know what? You know, how would it operate, honestly? I can't even explain this. But ICASA doesn't chase down illegal networks in other regions with the same intensity. We've got Nigerian hackers and scammers all over Sunnyside and Hillbrow. Why don't they turn their focus there? There are unlicensed networks, pirate stations, and Wi-Fi resellers operating openly in townships. But none receive front-page scrutiny. They operate in the ghettos such as Hillbrow, Sunnyside. The list goes on. So the question arises, why is state machinery so fixated on independent, self-reliant Afrikaner enclaves? Well, I'll tell you, and the answer's pretty simple. It's all about making our Afrikaner community feel like they're paying the sins of their forefathers, in Malema's words.
We'll get forces to do it. Yeah, the forces will sort it. Hey, chief, let's delete that. I'm checking.
Let's be honest. This goes beyond bylaws and broadcasting rights. What we're seeing is a deeper tension between cultural autonomy and centralized control. Afrikaner communities like Orania, Kleinfontein, many other communities in the Western Cape and the Northern Cape included, believe in self-determination, which is close to what the Zulus also believe in KwaZulu-Natal and the Xhosas in the Eastern Cape, which, by the way, is a right protected under Section 235 of the South African Constitution. It's in the Constitution. That clause recognizes the right of communities with shared cultural and linguistic heritage to self-govern within the framework of national law. You'll remember that it obviously is easier because one has to remember that the Afrikaners are not saying we just want white people. No, they are saying we want Afrikaners to come together and to work together. So it's not a racist connotation. But when those communities actually exercise that right, the state suddenly grows uncomfortable. It really does. It's as though independence was practiced by Afrikaners becomes suspicious, while similar principles, when applied elsewhere, are celebrated as empowerment or cultural freedom. Let's pause for a second. Let's imagine the Ngonyama Trust was run by the Afrikaner. What would the press be saying? What would people be saying? What would the ANC, what would the EFF be saying? Just think about that. That's a contradiction we can't ignore. Now, none of this means Kleinfontein, Orania, Swellendam, and all other Afrikaner communities are above the law. No. No community is. But fairness demands consistency, which is a key principle of democracy being practiced the right way. If Tshwane wants to enforce zoning laws, then it must enforce them everywhere, not only where it's politically convenient, because they know that none of those guys, Kleinfontein, are their voters. They won't touch Mamelodi. They won't touch Soshanguve. They won't touch Nkangala. They won't touch Hammanskraal. In fact, they'll just make them have no water, and here come the water trucks for free. If ICASA wants to investigate tech compliance, then it must do so uniformly, not performatively. Not, let's go and check what's happening in Orania. Why don't you check what's happening next to your head office in Hillbrow? Because when the rules only apply to some, the public starts losing faith in governance. And in a country still healing from racial roots, that perception is extremely, and I highlight, extremely dangerous. We can't allow for such to continue and sprout about our communities and our institutions, where our institutions just attack Afrikaner people because of the color of their skin. At its core, this debate isn't just about Kleinfontein or Orania. It's about whether South Africa still respects the rights of any community, black, white, or otherwise, to build, preserve, and live according to shared values. I was in Hammanskraal earlier on this week, where I saw, you remember there's no water, and Edwin Soda has been providing water through the water tankers, and pensioners were saying that, well, we still do pay for water. We pay for 500 Rand refills, and that is illegal. Look at what black politicians do to black people.
Hi there, it's Kuhlekwethu Maseko here, reporting for the Insider Report. So I'm live here in Hammanskraal. As you can see, we are, doing an inspection on water, and the water contracts that have been going out to various people. It looks like here. Have a look. Look at this debris. The mayor, this government has still not paved the roads on the side. It's been 31 years of ANC rule. It's been 25 years of an ANC running the city of Tshwane, and they still haven't paved a single road in Hammanskraal. This reflects the poor level of leadership. It is high time that the residents of this place say enough is enough, enough with the water tanker mafias, enough with the Edwin Sodis who milk poor dry.
You know what the wider factor is? You can see now you can see the new trucks now they are start to come in. So you can see that.
Yeah, and if there was a plan to phase out the trucks and deliver water, they wouldn't buy new trucks.
So now they are still buying the new truck. It means that this thing of water issue is not gonna end anytime soon. So it means the business is booming. Yeah. They are benefiting from that. Plus while the community is suffering. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see a tank there? And the other one is right in the corner. I'm using the wheelbarrow.
Oh, okay. From that
from
side.
that corner and that corner too.
So if you want this Jojo,
but if I want this Jojo to come and fill, I must pay 500 and I'm a pensioner.
Sure.
Where am I going to get that money?
Yeah.
I'm a pensioner.
The state has a duty to regulate fairly, let's be honest, but it also has a duty to protect diversity, even when that diversity challenges its political comfort zone. So we are all not receiving services. We're all in some way targets of the state. Maybe the real question isn't whether these towns should change, but whether our institutions can tolerate difference without reaching for the hammer of destruction. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a deep, deep, saddening story. A story that shows that racism is very much alive in this country. I'm Kuhlekwethu Maseko, and this has been another episode of the podcast. Please do make sure to click on that subscribe button. That's the least you can do. It's tedious making these videos and sharing the truth with others. Please do. It's a simple act. It's just click on the subscribe and the notification bell. It goes a long way. Let us share this video with our neighbors, with our friends, with our colleagues. Let us spread the truth far and wide. Let us show the world what our government is doing to minority communities, what a black government is doing to black people in the townships. Let us show the world the inequalities and injustices that we face in South Africa. If you'd like to support the work we do here financially, you can do so by signing up to be a member of the channel, as well as you can support me by buying a coffee, by sending a super chat in the comments below. Till next time, this has been Kuhlekwethu Maseko, reporting on the truth for you. Shabbat Shalom.
Sure.
There have been places where people, the house is burned down and just sleep in a pile of ash.
Sure. It's horrible.